So while this particular anecdote is not in my book, Almost Rapist, a true crime memoir available at enthusiastpress.com, it's one of many Black Ops activities surrounding the book that indicates my commitment to true crime excavation in my personal material that forms the discipline of memoir that I've been developing for over a decade now to bring this piece of entertainment to you. Jill Kargman has just a few cameo walk-ons and maybe some episodic writer's credits in the multi-interest Black Ops that has been targeting me for many, many years, and I do not want to give the impression that she's part of it any more than that. So I want to segue away from her into an interesting subplot of my access to yoga being subtly targeted with psychological warfare over the years. So while I was at Williamstown, and while Jill Kargman was low-key like using Sophie Kargman to like kind of Miss Havisham 2.0 scam me into like my acting getting sabotaged. There were other like operatives at the festival. Even being in a competitive performing arts environment in and of itself is like already kind of a Black Ops, apparently. I grew up an only child. I was very unaware of like competition. I'm very much the like, oh, you're only competing with yourself. But in reality, you are competing with the wealthy, organized crime, interest groups, and numerous multi-billion-dollar religions when you pursue a career in the performing arts. So if you write a memoir, you can only pick like maybe one or two out of the four to piss off, and then you need to have allies in the other two camps. So if you're pissing off organized crime, you need wealthy friends, religious friends, and political friends. If you're pissing off a religion, you need wealthy friends, political friends, and friends in organized crime. If you're pissing off political people, you need organized criminal friends, wealthy friends, and religious friends. And if you're pissing off wealthy people, you need friends in organized crime, political friends, and religious friends. So there was this story one of my fellow apprentices told me at the very beginning of the apprenticeship. And psychological warfare is always made up of storytelling in the end. I'd already been profiled. They already knew that I had this big hang up about, you know, monogamy and not cheating and like not flirting with somebody's man, which is really kind of like a lot of people consider that to be laughable and old-fashioned in like New York arts bohemian scenes. And a lot of people like pretend that they like are more progressive than that, and then they're just like scheming and plotting behind the scenes. But either way, like I've assimilated much more to like, you know, progressive arts culture since that time. But back at Williamstown apprenticeship, I was like, everyone was like low key like laughing at me. And then like when I would act well, it was like, oh my God, you're so good. But they didn't really expect me to be good because of my kind of like hayseed, messy personality. So I like remember at the very beginning, this one apprentice came up to me and they were like, oh my God, this one actress who's an apprentice with us, like stole the boyfriend of this actress Jenny who's in the non-equity company when they were both at the same school, and Jenny didn't know who he had been cheating on her with until like years later. The apprentice who's like with our group walks up to her and is like, Jenny, I just have to tell you, like, I was the one cheating with your boyfriend all those years and I just need to come clean. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so horrible. That's crazy. Like, I can't believe anyone would cheat with someone, and wow. And then I just left it at that. But the story was like lodged in my mind as, something someone told me. And I didn't think about it after that. But it set the stage, I think, intentionally. I don't even know if it was true or if the story that if the two girls that the story was about were like part of some black ops corroborating this whole fake story to like manipulate me subtly. But after I did my big performance where people were like, oh wow, that was so good, this one actor who was a non-equity actor with Jenny, his name was Justin, he approached me. He was like 32 and I was like maybe 20, and he gave me a watercolor that he had painted. And he was like, oh, I really liked your performance. I just wanted to give you like this art that I made. I just do watercolor like for fun, for me. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. And it was like, I was like, oh, cool. In my mind, I was like, I'm like a 17 magazine rising starlet, and like older actors are coming up to me and giving me like their Johnny Deppian art hobby, like stuff. And of course there was no romantic motive. I was just like wanting to be like a professional actress. So any little bit of validation that made me feel like I was closer to the life of being like a real actress who got paid was like, a good thing. I wasn't like a full-blown narcissist trying to like exploit people or like build my own cult. I just was like, oh sweet, like stuff that allegedly happens to like, movie stars happens to me too, like on a tiny scale. But anyway, at the same time I looked at the watercolor and I was like, this is shitty even for a hobby. Like this really sucks in my head. I was like, I'm surprised by how much this sucks. But I didn't say anything. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Now, I'm thinking in retrospect, when I examine the way everything unfolded, he may have been a private investigator or a undercover of some kind who like networked his way into the festival, because as I recall, he was added to the festival last minute. And I'm thinking he may be an actor / PI working for someone, either Scientology, the FBI, or some rogue, wealthy, self-imagined Batman who thinks that they can violate my privacy just because I have links to a fringe religious group. So I think part of what he intended to do by giving me this like shit watercolor that sucked was like also part of me being profiled was like these spies knew that I had a real motivation if I ever saw anyone who sucked at art in any way to like really believe in them and like give it my all to like, you know, bring their immortal spiritual potential to fruition. Like that's part of Scientology is like, you know, nobody sucks at art in their native spiritual state. Like everybody's like unlimited spiritual potential. And so part of me really loved being able to like bring people to their full potential. And so there was this sense of like if someone sucks at art, it's because they have like some trauma that's holding them back from being like naturally a genius. And so I believe Justin may have been trying to key his way into that aspect of my psychological profiling. So, you know, he would talk to me a lot and take an interest in, you know, giving me advice and stuff. And my instincts, just as with Sophie Kargman, my instincts with Justin were like, it felt off somehow, but I accepted it as, you know, like, you know, just didn't listen to my instincts. And as the festival went on and as Sophie Kargman was like subtly sabotaging me with this whole independent project shenanigan stuff, like just delaying and delaying and delaying, like actually picking a project and starting rehearsal, Justin and I would occasionally like meet up, hang out, talk, get coffee. For me, it was just totally, we're two actors talking about acting. That's it, you know? And, like, two of the directors I was friends with were like, you know, oh, he's like hooking up with Jenny, so be careful. And I was like, I have no motive other than just, you know, talking to a fellow artist. Like, there's nothing I'm doing that's untowards. Like, I'm the only one at the festival who's not having any, like, fun romantically. Like, I'm literally just here working and sleeping and eating. And, like, that's it. Like, I was like, what do you mean be careful? I'm not doing shit. Like, what do you mean? Like, so, like, one day we met up for coffee at like 10 or 11 in the morning at some coffee shop. Like, just like there was almost no downtime to do anything relaxing. So it was like a nice thing to get to actually do something at a brunchy hour at a local spot rather than just back and forth like a mad person to rehearsals and tech assignments and like a 5-second lunch at the cafeteria, like running across the Williams College campus. And later, like a week later, Justin was like, or like a few days later or the next day, Justin was like, oh, do you know what Jenny did? She went up and hooked up with this other guy because she thought you and I had slept together just because we were at a coffee shop in the morning. And I was like, what? I was like, that's, I was like, oh my gosh, that's awful. He was like, yeah, like, and I was like, why wouldn't you ask me first? And she was like, well, what did you want me to think? And I was thinking of that story that this other apprentice had told me about an actress in our apprentice group, and like how Jenny had been betrayed with another guy. But I was like, it's not my business to go up and say anything, you know, to her, because no, like, just nobody asked, you know. I was like, it's just not my business. Like, these are, you know, I don't know what people's reactions would be. I've not done anything, and I'm not, you know, I just haven't done shit. Like, I didn't do anything. I just literally didn't do anything. And there's like, I don't know, maybe, I mean, a couple people may have asked me, like, did you do anything? I mean, everyone personally, regularly interacting with me knew that I was doing nothing. And I'm sure people, like, pretend, like, low-key did counterintelligence without my knowing it, to, like, you know, explore the gossip that everybody but me cared about. And they would have known I didn't do shit. Like, I had no involvement. And also, like, all kinds of people were, like, hooking up all the time. Like, so why would I be more policed than anybody else? But even so, I wasn't doing, like, anything. I don't, so, like, a few days later, I am going to the morning yoga class that Jenny teaches for the whole festival. And there's a morning yoga class we're all expected to go together, and it's great. Like, it's a huge benefit for me as an actor and just physically to be taking this yoga. Everything, you know, my like, yoga, it's like a lifeline for me, especially at this festival where there's no other opportunity to get, like, a good cardio in. This is, like, just for breathing, emotional connection, nervous system, everything. Like, during this yoga class, Jenny, she teaches it, right? And I'm just minding my business doing my yoga, thinking, oh, you know, it's not my relationship, like, I'm not involved in any way. I'm sure everything's cleared up. Like, I'm not thinking about anything, not thinking, you know, anything but my yoga, as I should be. So I'm doing my yoga, she's teaching the class, she comes around, she starts discussing, like, a spiritual prompt for the day. Like, you know, usually yoga teacher is they'll probably have some theme or quote or mantra that they may, you know, imbue into the class, you know, at the very end. And she's walking around and adjusting us in this pose, and she said, and then this is our heart, something about, you know, I don't remember what it was, but the speech ended on the word forgiveness. And when she said forgiveness, she, like, lightly touched my hip and adjusted me. And I was like, is this in my mind, I was like, is this real? I was like, did what I think just happened actually happen? Is she now imbuing the yoga class with a sense that I somehow did something that needs to be forgiven? And I was just, like, confused. Because, again, only child, did not grow up, like, fighting claw to claw with siblings for, you know, anything. Not a gossip person, religiously indoctrinated to really feel gossip is very, very destructive. Not doing shit, and I'm assuming everyone is gonna, of course, give me the benefit of the doubt, right? But because I'd kind of made a name for myself as an actor, and, you know, only as a lowly apprentice, people may have wanted an excuse to find something bad about me. And so that may be why Justin and possibly Jenny and the actress who told me the story about the other actress in the apprenticeship, who may have also been corroborating with them, may have intentionally started a rumor web making everyone feel I'm just this evil bitch because otherwise I'm like totally likable and don't offend anyone at the festival, like enough to give anyone an excuse to blackball me. And I think they may have wanted to get this started to bait, you know, like traditional female gender relational aggression into like having a motive to take me down and want to see me fail. Like now giving actresses an excuse to want me to fail, knowing this backstory that poor Jenny had to suffer twice now, losing her man to a younger scheming actress. Also it made the actress who was the apprentice less of the bad guy, because now I'm the bitch doing it to her again. And the other actress has learned and already apologized. But I literally just didn't do anything. So it starts like, so potentially these black ops, because the other actress who had stolen her man was really, really beautiful and an amazing actress. She got cast, and she was not just, I was only straight acting. She was musical theater and straight acting. And she went to Carnegie Mellon, which is like a top school. Like Carnegie Mellon is second really only to Juilliard. This actress is famous now, like low-key famous, not like being in the movie Twilight famous, but she works full-time on screen. So I think what the Black Ops scapegoating me as the Abigail Williams that I of course was not, it accomplished getting protection for this actress Jenny, who was also a beautiful and brilliant actress. It also took the scapegoat energy off of the other actress, you know, the scamp, and now I'm the evil one that everyone gets to hate. So it accomplished that, and it also low-key subtly, I really needed more psychological fuck your bullshit, like I don't give a shit about these people energy to protect myself with. But again, only child. A lot of kids with siblings like solidify that at an early age. Like they have a moment where they're like, their brother's like shoving their face into like a pile of like fake dog poop, and finally they like rise up, and that's their moment where they're like, I'm not taking shit from anybody ever again, because if I do, they'll just grind my face into the fake dog poop or something like that. I never had that moment. I just I was in this religion that brainwashed me into feeling like man is basically good, and I was an only child, so I was like double brainwashed into not seeing like the true evil that everyday people will just do for their own selfish needs. So I'm just like the Tweety bird in all of this, getting sylvestered. So yeah, it accomplishes making me the scapegoat, and it low-key makes me feel like I don't deserve to go to yoga class. Like, I didn't say that consciously to myself. I didn't say like, ugh. But it was like, I didn't say like, well, I should just go. I'm just upsetting everyone. It was just like, I kind of low-key just, I'm getting like underhandedly psychologically abused, and predictably, I kind of like stopped showing up to yoga class, which is really, and this is right at the moment where Sophie Kargman is like hemming and hawing and over our project and what we should do, and meanwhile I'm getting like siphoned out of yoga class. And I kind of just like, I'm kind of, you know, like the abused kid who suddenly stops coming to class, right? The yoga's not mandatory, but they made it clear, like, while it's not mandatory, you're expected to go. If we don't see you, we're gonna wonder, you know, why aren't you focused on your instrument? You know, your breathing and your stretching and those crucial things that an actor needs. And so lo and behold, a couple days later, like the artistic director's like, I haven't seen you in yoga class. And it's like, now I look like I'm doing some bullshit. I think I even just said it outright. I was like, yeah, this fucking weird ass thing. People like think I slept with Justin, and then Jenny came up and did this thing like where she was just like, forgiveness. And then I kind of just like, felt bad. Like, I think I just said it outright. And the person's like, that's crazy. But anyway, my energy should have just been like, fuck this. And then just kept going to yoga, because I didn't do shit. And even if I did, even if I slept with every person at the festival, I still should have just been like, fuck this, I'm going to yoga. Like, why are people trying to fuck with me? So they scam me out of feeling that I get to go to yoga too, just in time for this independent project thing and another project I'm in to kind of get sabotaged slightly by just my not having that added layer of like physical connectedness